This is awful.
It would be a FIFA-owned and controlled subsidiary consolidating FIFA's commercial and event operations.
The president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, a Donald Trump loyalist through and through, who has pulled a Dana White-style invitation to POTUS in allowing FIFA and the World Cup to sports wash the MAGA leader's image. It was a diabolical move. And yet, there's one more.
Too little of football's growing commercial value reaches the parts of the game that need it most. Capturing that value requires additional expertise, additional insight.
Stop here. He is giving you politician speak, okay? I'm going to keep it very, very real for you in this piece. It was leaked to the Times as Martin Ziegler that Infantino was looking to sell stakes in the World Cup to that guy, Joshua Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner, who is married to Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter, who he famously said this of.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Stop it. Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
So what exactly is the plan for Infantino here, aside from completely taking advantage of the beautiful game, to spin off broadcasting, sponsorship, licensing, and ticket rights? Ziegler reported that Jared, as in Kushner, of course, was involved in the preliminary process, but then he took a back seat. Per Time, Joshua was named in the outlet's 100 most influential people in artificial intelligence, according to the Environmental and Energy Study Institute. Large data centers can consume up to 5 million gallons of water per day, equivalent to the water use of a town populated by 10,000 to 50,000 people. Joshua would buy a minority stake in the Memphis Grizzlies years back. He was even rumored to be purchasing a stake in the Miami Marlins. For Gianni Infantino, it is about two things and two things only. All right? Money and power. That is it. For example, when he was asked in a joking manner if his $6 million salary is adequate enough, he basically said, no, it wasn't. The World Cup hydration breaks, an abomination. Fans booed the unnecessary stoppages, seeing it exactly for what it was. A flat-out unequivocal money grab. That is what it was. And guess who benefited? For example, Fox was expected to make anywhere from an additional $250 million to $500 million in added revenue. Yeah, he was basically saying, how can I serve my corporate overlords that much more? See this man exactly for who he is, and then you will have moral clarity on this entire issue. There was the Folarin Balogun fiasco, where it seemed quite clear Infantino made the call to have it reversed. From Martin Ziegler at the Times, a senior FIFA insider told the Sunday Times it was, quote, ludicrous to even think that Gianni Infantino had not been involved in the decision and that the staff in the disciplinary department were appalled by what had happened. He pulled a similar stunt with Portugal star Cristiano Ronaldo just 1 week after this photo was taken and posted by Trump crypto czar David Sachs, a member of the PayPal mafia, mind you. Ronaldo's final 2 games of a 3-match ban had been suspended for a year, meaning he would be eligible to play in the World Cup. Infantino, clearly lustful to be in the public eye, lustful to be a celebrity and a big name that is being talked about around the world. He has a camera crew that follows him everywhere. He demanded a private jet for the World Cup so he could take in 2 matches per day, leading to atrocious numbers on the environment that will last forever. It was reported by The Athletic, going all the way back to the Qatari World Cup, that Infantino must appear on the broadcast when he is there. He is loathed for making sweeping changes and is clearly in it for himself by any means necessary. Thus, when the plans with Joshua Kushner and private equity came to light, the plan was completely foiled, mainly with CONCACAF, the governing body of North and Central America and Caribbean soccer, plus UEFA, the Union of European Football Associations, practically saying they oppose Infantino, they oppose the plan, they will not support such an idea. Infantino was desperate. He was scrambling. He saw how the press picked up on this story, and he knew his days could potentially be numbered. So, who is the one guy that has had his back this entire time, who is also incredibly powerful?
I want to thank our great FIFA president, Gianni Infantino. There's nobody like him, actually, very few.
That would be the President of the United States of America.
Not the Nobel Peace Prize, which is the world's most prestigious, and one that President Trump has long coveted. This one is the FIFA Peace Prize.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Now, if the FIFA Peace Prize doesn't ring a bell for you, it's probably because it is a brand new award. It was announced last month by FIFA, which is the global governing body for soccer. You've heard of it because it's been plagued by scandal and corruption allegations in the last decade. This year's awardee, the president, is someone whom FIFA says has taken, quote, exceptional and extraordinary actions for peace, and by doing so, have united people around the world, unquote. How the winner is chosen, however, is not clear, but FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who presented President Trump the award, happens to be a good friend of the president.
Who had a participation trophy created out of thin air because Gianni Infantino knew where his bread was buttered. Giving someone like Donald John Trump a peace prize, while he is helping to bomb kids, while he is also bombing other countries, while he is capturing world leaders. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this. It was bullshit. Anyone who saw through this knew that it was practically Infantino getting a few more smooches in on Trump's behind to potentially curry favors later on. The New York Post, speaking of, reported Infantino called Trump in an effort to help him keep his job. Per the report, he also tried to get in touch with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Wrote the New Republic. He wanted to get online with the secretary and talk about how soccer can be a forum of soft power for America, a source told the New York Post. But we all know that it's about job protection. It's not about anything else.
Breaking news now, because FIFA President Gianni Infantino says that he is scrapping plans to sell stakes in the World Cup to private equity investors after days of mounting controversy as well as global backlash.
Very quickly, if you can, become a paid channel member or go to Buy Me a Coffee to support this channel. Thank you.
This was a question of politics really killing this deal. The numbers simply didn't add up. The way that FIFA went about it is what basically killed this deal dead on arrival. The clubs, the federations, the fans, it was just the global outcry against Infantino's plan with, may I say, his own number two saying he wasn't even aware of it.
More hits would come for Infantino as well. And by the way, just to preface, don't praise this guy, all right? If you know anything about U.S. soccer, you know this guy sucks, okay? However, Carlos Cordero, a top advisor to the FIFA president, resigned when these plans became public. Kevin Lamour, the COO of FIFA, said he and his staff felt deceived by Infantino. United Kingdom Prime Minister Andy Burnham said Infantino is, quote, not the right man for the job, adding, the plan that was put forward was offensive to many football people around the world, and it can't be the case that we move on and forget that. It's not acceptable. The English FA, Welsh FA, and Swedish FA also withdrew support. The question that we have right now, can Gianni Infantino survive this? If he can or cannot, what is his next move? Forbes reports more than 200 of FIFA's 211 member associations had formally endorsed him for another term prior to these plans going public. He needs 106 votes to win re-election as FIFA Prez, meaning he can lose all 55 votes of Europe's UEFA and all 35 of North and Central America's CONCACAF and still be re-elected. There are plenty of people to keep an eye on, but that is not really pertinent to this story right now. I think what is most important is this, and I don't say this lightly, okay? Private equity has a humongous role, not just in our politics, obviously, but also our day-to-day lives. And once more, they are coming after something that we love, like the World Cup. The New York Times would have this story via Brendan Ballou, an attorney and author. Over the last decade, private equity firms were responsible for nearly 600,000 job losses in the retail sector alone. In nursing homes, where the firms have been particularly active, private equity ownership is responsible for an estimated and astounding 20,000 premature deaths over a 12-year period, according to a working paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research. More from Brendan. Similar tales of woe abound in mobile homes, prison healthcare, emergency medicine, ambulances, apartment buildings, and elsewhere, yet private equity and its leaders continue to prosper. And executives of the top firms are billionaires many times over. Lastly, why do private equity firms succeed when the companies they buy so often fail? In part, it's because firms are generally insulated from the consequences of their actions and benefit from hard-fought tax benefits that allow many of their execs to pay lower rates than we do. Together, this means firms enjoy disproportionate benefits when their plans succeed and suffer fewer consequences when they fail. On the Infantino line, let me also be very clear about this. If you were to be a confidant, let's say, a COO, even an advisor, and this leaks, and you have no idea, and you have a man who is just so incredibly invested in himself and the amount of money that he can make off of people that work under him, and also the players, the labor force that makes him a mega millionaire, that allows him to travel by private jet so he can leave a carbon footprint that may, in the short term, shock Kevin Hart and Taylor Swift. This man is horrible. Sepp Blatter was bad. He is in the running to make it worse. And I do believe the reason why we haven't reached Sepp Blatter levels, at least yet for some people, is because Gianni Infantino and FIFA rented a space, an office space in Trump Tower that the New York Times and The Athletic reported sits vacant. We don't know what they're paying. The Trump organization, says that they are paying market rate, whatever the fuck that means. But really what we saw is how I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I take care of you, you take care of me. I allow my entire organization to sports wash the president's image. And you know what has to happen? The DOJ has to close investigations into FIFA, which they did. And I believe those investigations would have taken down Infantino alone. So now what we have is sweeping it under the rug and Infantino getting caught right here. If there were to be, and I know this is a low bar because we know what FIFA is all about. If there were to be any bar at all, they would oust Infantino in a vote of no confidence, start over, and at least try to make some progress to preserve the beautiful game.